Welcome back, sports bettors. This is Jeff Makinen at DRF Sports. Thanksgiving weekend is traditionally rivalry weekend in college football, and today I will be handicapping arguably the biggest rivalry of them all, the Ohio State-Michigan battle, which will take place on Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time in Ann Arbor. Thanksgiving week is the perfect time to handicap college football, and DRF Sports is giving you all our content for free this week. Simply log on at sports.drf.com. You'll get access to all our game simulators, betting angles, betting trends, ratings, and profitable edges, all free through Sunday, December 1st. So log in today at sports.drf.com. There is a lot on the line this Saturday as Michigan and Ohio State renew their rivalry. Ohio State, of course, the number one team in the nation with an 11-0 record. Michigan at 9-2, still with an outside shot of making the playoffs. They would need a lot to fall their way in order to make that happen. Ohio State opened this game as an 8-point favorite, has gone up to 9, over-under at 52, opener 49.5 current. Well, one thing to note here, the forecast for Saturday in Ann Arbor, Michigan is calling for 37-degree temperatures with possible rain and snow mix. So weather could definitely be an issue. Winds are expected to be 14 miles per hour at game time. So keep your eye on that. That might be one of the reasons why this total is coming down from 52 to 49.5. Looking at our game simulator, estimate number 1, Ohio State projected to win 33-23. Estimate number 2 calls for a 28-21 Ohio State victory. And the power line has Ohio State as an 8-point favorite, so the line is pretty well on as to what it should be here. Over under, there is some value to the over. However, you got to factor in potential weather complications for Saturday in Michigan. Ohio State statistically off the charts, outscoring their opponents 49-10 every game, outgaining them 531 yards to 217, 7.1 yards per play, 3.5, and a ridiculous 283 yards per game rushing versus just 91. They really have been the dominant team so far this season in college football. Michigan, on the other hand, they're not too bad themselves. They're averaging 34 points and allowing just 16. And 5.9 yards per play, allowing 4.1. And those numbers have picked up significantly as the Wolverines, as I'll show you in their schedule, have come on very strong lately after a slow start. There are a few significant trends here that do favor Michigan. One that does profile pretty well for a game like this. Jim Harbaugh, as coach of Michigan, is actually 10-1 against the spread versus excellent rushing defenses. Certainly the Buckeyes would qualify as that. That would be teams that allow for less than 200 or 2.75 yards per carry. They are also 7-1 against the spread versus good rushing teams who average 4.75 or more rushing yards per carry themselves. So Buckeyes can run it well, they can stop the run, but the Wolverines have done well in games like that. Michigan also 7-1 at home versus conference opponents the last 2 years. So some pretty significant trends there favoring the Wolverines. 72% of the betting public does favor Ohio State, the favorite here. Just 28% of the action on Michigan. 62% favors the over, 38% on the under. Now that's interesting. As I have noted, the total has come down quite a bit, so probably not a lot of people paying attention to the weather forecast here, and there may be some potential sharp action banking on a low-scoring game. As I mentioned, Michigan does come into this game on quite a roll with blowouts over Notre Dame, Maryland, Michigan State, and Indiana in their last 4 weeks after a relatively slow start, which included losses to Wisconsin and Penn State. Ohio State has been absolutely dominant all season long. As you can see, it wasn't until the Maryland game on November 9th that anybody scored more than 10 points against them. However, they have failed to cover their last 2 games, including last week's game against Penn State, in which the Nittany Lions actually were within 7 and had the ball in Ohio State territory in the fourth quarter and ended up losing 28-17. Interesting, Ohio State has dominated the series over the last 5 meetings, most 5 recent meetings. They have had absolutely no problem scoring against Michigan, scoring 62-31, 30-42, and 42. However, despite that, Michigan has covered 3 of those 5 games during that time span. Looking at this game overall, I do think Michigan has potential to keep this one close in Ann Arbor. I think the atmosphere, along with the recent role Michigan has been on, really sets them up in a good spot to perhaps win their first game against Ohio State. I'm not quite sure I would go all the way to calling a straight-up upset here. The Buckeyes have a lot to play for, and I think this one really could be a close game. Also, with the weather conditions, I think an under might be worth a look here. Overall, I would think Michigan and the under, probably the way I would lean. This is Jeff Makinen at DRF Sports, Twitter handle @SportsDBExpert. Best of luck Saturday on Rivalry Week.